Hi, Gay DeRusso with the Majestic Rider. Here today with Izzy. She's the Rocky Mountain horse that was easy under saddle. She's doing spectacular. She's a smart mare. She figures things out. And now she's almost getting a little trotty. When she's loose, she can trot, pace, and gait. She doesn't canter very well, so I decided to start working on that. Okay. So we already did our flat walk and our arena work, which you can watch in her previous video. So now I'm going to work on her saddle gait. And there's a hay truck here, so hopefully you can hear me. So with her, I kind of want her head neutral. As we get going and she gets tired, I don't want her head too low because she is starting to go towards the trot. So you might have a Rocky that can trot and pace and gait. And those you can get a lot of gaits out of, which is great. But if you don't ride them in the correct frame with the right amount of engagement, you're going to get different gaits. So you got to be a little bit careful and help them. So when she gets a little step pacey, which she doesn't much now, I just push her sideways, a little leg yield, a little shoulder in. If she gets trotty, I give her that hug. I hold her, I push her with my seat and legs, and raise her head up just a little bit, and that'll usually get her to go back more towards her saddle gait. Okay, so we're going to start, and I always start out a little bit slow. I start flat walking, make sure the footfall's good, and then I start adding more speed in. So sometimes the first time or two around, it's kind of in between a running walk and a saddle gait. There's so many things these horses can do. It's kind of ridiculous at times. So don't get confused. But I want her owner to have lots of gaits and them to be smooth. It's behind me, isn't it? Yeah. The whole truck's going. Let's pretend it's not there, Izzy, and see what happens. Now, Izzy's good, but is she this good? We'll see. She might be. Okay, so we're going to hit the pole right by the truck. Come on, Izzy. I don't want her head too low in case she does something stupid. But Izzy's a good girl. Like, classic sign of a good Rocky. They don't spook it much. Okay, so we're going to start adding speed. So what's helpful to do is slide your seat side to side, kind of like if you went to a restaurant, a fast food restaurant, and they got those slick benches in there for your seats. Slide your butt back and forth, side to side. That's the rhythm usually of their saddle gait, and a lot of them will follow your rhythm and go into that gait, okay? So I don't care where her head is so much right now as long as she stays in this gait. And again, I like to make lots of circles, but if you can't hold your saddle gait, going around the whole arena will be much easier for you. I like to make it hard to start and then get easier. Okay? So anytime I feel her losing her rhythm, I kind of just slide my butt side to side. Now you can also push in your stirrups one foot then the other. Anything that'll make you like a little jiggle in the saddle, a little what we call twerking. Right? That's just a dance move where you move your butt back and forth. Okay? So at times you might see her head shaking a little bit. There's not much head shake with the saddle gait. So when her head's shaking, that means I kind of have her kind of in between. Now again, if I rounded her up too much or collected her too much, I can feel it now that she would go more towards a foxtrot because I've worked her over the poles and got her to engage herself more, so she's now going more towards the trotty side. Okay, so she's done pretty well, so now I'm going to go around the whole arena, okay? So as you go around, the footing's going to change. There's going to be Change. There's going to be little dips in your footing unless you're at a really nice stable. Congratulations if you are. You won't have any bad footing. But there's a dragonfly flying with us. We have little dips. It goes up, it goes down, there's steep footing, there's no footing. You have to accommodate for that, because if you don't, your horse will change its gait, because everything affects your horse's gait. Its frame, its speed, the footing. So when it gets a little flat, she is going to tend to go more towards a little step pace. Like right here, it gets flat, so it's just a little shoulder in, just a tiny bit. Now as I get up here, it gets deeper, right as I go down this long side, and that's going to make her trottier. So I'm going to raise her head up and sit back just a little and slow it down a tiny bit. Because if you keep that same speed and the horse isn't conditioned to hold that gait, and she's not because she's only been here a couple of weeks, they're going to go for what's easy, and that's going to be a trot or a foxtrot. Okay? Same here. It's a little deep right here. Okay, now it starts to flatten out, so that I know with her I can speed up a little bit and she'll be able to hold it. So if you don't know how to read the footing, you can't tell where it's deep, you can't tell where it's flat, you can't tell where it goes up, and you can't tell where it dips or goes down, your horse is going to go out of gait, and you're going to think, why is this horse going out of gait? What's wrong with it? Nothing's wrong with the horse. It's the footing, and you're not helping it. So these horses can do so many things, so you have to help them to stay in gait, okay? Now, some horses, like the Paso Finos and Peruvians, haven't been messed with as much, and they will stay in gait no matter what footing they get in. But that's not all of them. That's just some of them. Okay. Now, I want to teach her to canter a little bit. She's getting a little trotty and tired, so now's a good time to try. Now, some of these... Now, some of these Rockies are the ones a little bit on the trotty side, although they go lateral. If you get them saddle gaiting, and then you feel it going more towards a trot or hit a pole, it helps them to get their canter better versus if they're really lateral, okay? So what I'm going to do with her is half halt, shift my weight to the outside, and I'm going to pump, canter. Good girl. Now, she raises her head up, and she gets inverted. That makes her more lateral and makes it harder to get the canter, not easier. But for some reason, she thinks that's what she's supposed to do. So we just try it again and again. All I want is a couple steps and then go back to our gait. So here we go. I'm going to half halt, shift my weight to the right, canter, right leg. Why is everybody falling down on me today? Good girl. So that was better. So it's much easier to canter if you can get your horse to trot or go on the trotty side. If you can't and it's real lateral, just do it from a walk with poles. Because if they pace into it, it can be very dangerous. Okay? Unless it's like a slow pace or a walking horse that can figure it out. So here we go. Half halt, shift my weight, canter. So it's not very fast, which is good, because if she did that fast, it would be very uncomfortable. Now, I didn't think that was that good. And I just hit a dip where there's a lot of sand, okay? That's going to help me. So think of that. And I'm going to try and get that. Oh, she's trying for me. She's a smart girl. I'm going to try where I hit that dip of sand, because that'll be easier for her. So it's coming. So here we go. I'm going to ask now, canter. See that canter? That was the dip of sand. Whoa. Whoa. Good girl. So I always back up because I want that whoa to be great. Good girl. So now she gets a break. So when it's sandy, helps them to get the canter because it makes your horse diagonal, okay? All these concepts are very confusing when you don't know gaited. But just know everything you do to them, all the footing, how you ride, your balance, your position, yourself, it all affects gait. You can mess their gait up really easily just putting a bad saddle on them, okay? So we have to be very conscientious of having a saddle that fits correctly, riding them correctly so they hold the gait. These horses don't understand what we want. Why would they? So if you don't ride it well, you don't ride it in the correct frame, you got a bunch of different people riding it, the horse all of a sudden stops gaiting because it's easier just to trot or pace, and nobody up there seems to care and is not showing the horse what to do. And they're all about easy, and they go, well, if you don't care, I don't care. Let's just pace and trot. Sounds good to me. And then all of a sudden you're like, my horse won't gait anymore, and you're complaining. Okay? So you got to work on all those things. That's why they need a foundation, but you also need a foundation as a rider. You need to have certain cues that you know how to give. You need to have good balance so you don't throw your horse off balance. There's a lot to learn, okay? But they are very safe, most of them. Okay, so now we're going to go back to work because we got the camera going. Sorry, Izzy. So now I'm going to gait her this way. I look at my watch, and then 2 seconds later, I forget what it said. Now you can see I just went right back up into gait again. I didn't really flat walk. I just went up into it because I can feel it, and this horse is super smart, and she's like, I get it now, Gaye. I get what you want. I know what to do, and she can do it. But you can see some of the horses I ride, I will never do that because they don't get it. They're not as smart. They can't figure it out, and so I have to just help them figure it out. That's okay. You just got to know which horse do you have, okay? So she's good. So remember, saddle gait, think of sliding your butt. I'm exaggerating so you can kind of see side to side. Then once you get it, you don't have to keep doing that. You can if your horse... You can if your horse keeps falling out of gait. But once you get it, you can sit still and then just use your half halts, your seat, and your leg to keep them in gait. Okay? But remember, everywhere it's deep, they're going to get trotty. Like right here, I might have to raise her head up a little bit and sit back. And then right here, we're okay. And then as I finish my circle, it's going to get deep again. Right here, it's always hard for all the horses. That spot right there. Okay? So now she's not... So now she's not bending, so I'm getting a little bend. The bend helps a lot with their gait to keep leg separation. So the stiffer they are, usually the more lateral or the more they'll swing their legs on the same side together. The more supple they are, the more it separates those legs. So with the Pacey horses, you want to do a lot of suppling. With the trotty horses, you want to do some, but not overdo it. With the Pacey horses, you want to get a fair amount of engagement to help them get into gait. With the trotty ones, not as much, okay? Because it just makes them trottier. So once you start getting these concepts, you're like, gaiting's easy. It is once you figure it out. It's just not when you don't know, okay? All right. So now we're going to go back to our circle around the camera. So a little stiff right here. So I just squeezed and relaxed on the bit, pressed a little bit with my right leg. Now, not much footing right here, so if anything, she should get pacey, not trotty. Now, you can tilt a little forward if they're pacey, but as I always say, be careful if it's a tripper, then don't do that. Because when they trip, you'll be leaning forward and easier to fall off, so you just sit back. You'll just have to use some other things to help you. So there she lost it, there she tripped, right? Rockies aren't trippy. No, but it's the footing. She probably hit a hole in our footing. So important to sit back and stay balanced because that can knock somebody out of the saddle pretty easily. Okay? So now if I remember, when something like that happens, because your gaited horse is your arena footing specialist, that's who you should hire to find all the holes, I try to avoid that spot. Because I go, well, she almost fell there. Why would I want to go back to that spot? Because there's probably, windy. But there's probably a dip in the footing there is what caused it. Now there she got lateral as I switched my stick. Okay. Now I'm going back down to the other end to try the canter. Now her canter in this direction is worse. She's a little bit weaker in her right stifle, and I know that from just watching her move on the lunge line. So all those who don't want to lunge, you can learn a lot about your horse. You can fix a lot of things on the lunge line, but you can't do it if you don't lunge them. But that's up to you. I don't lunge them monotonously in a circle. I'm always teaching them. Okay? Teaching them rhythm, teaching them to hold themselves. Okay, so I'm going to start trying to walk, and then ask her with my outside leg. She's already trying to invert herself. Canter. I know it's hard for you, Izzy. Canter, so I'm going to use my left leg. Now, she's not getting it, so I'm slowing down. I'm like, the answer is not speed up, it's to get the canter. Now I'm going to wait. She's bracing. You might not see it, but I can feel it. Canter. No. So don't let them get out of control. Now I'm going to try it again. Good girl. Well, now I want to let her know that was the right thing. Now you might have looked at it and been like, that wasn't a canter. No, but I felt this, and I rocked with it. That's a start. So you got to feel it. And she does a little, like, motion towards the canter. That's your cue to stop. Because that's your cue to, like, that's the right answer. And the break, that's the right answer. So when you're teaching, lots of breaks in the beginning, then less breaks, then no breaks, and 20 miles right. No, I'm just joking. Always give them breaks. All right. So we're going to shorten back up. We're going to try it again. So if your horse is smart, they want that break. So they'll do whatever they got to get it. And that's why horses a lot of times put people off. So I'm going to half halt, shift my weight to the outside canter. I'm rocking. She's speeding up and trying to invert her head. In other words, she's trying to put her head way up. That's not going to help our canter. I got to keep her head down. Canter. No, she's speeding up and doing it again. Canter. Good girl. Now that was a try. And again, this direction's hard for her. So it's very important that I canter her a lot on the lunge line to help her with her balance without the rider up there. So she learns her lead, because having them in a circle will help them pick up the correct lead versus just going straight. But I can tell you, if we canter her on the trail, she's going to pick her left lead because she's more comfortable on it. And a lot of times they're more comfortable not because they have a problem up in the front. Most of the time it's coming from the back end. They got a weakness back here, okay? And so that tells me, and I can see it when I lunge her, that right stifle is weak. So the more pull work I do with her, the more I trot her around, will help her to build up those muscles. So in another month, this cantering will be much easier for her. So now we're going to try again. And I like to canter, go back to gating, so you make it no big deal. A lot of horses panic with cantering because people charge them into it, and the horse doesn't even understand and can't figure out its legs. So she's gating nice, but she feels a little lateral. But let's see. Now she feels a little trotty. Now she got her head up and went lateral again. And I'm trying to get the canter. She's speeding up too much. Canter. No, she sped up too much, so I'm holding her. Bring her head down. Canter. Nope. Now I didn't stop her. She did that. Canter. Easy. So now I'm going to try to back her up and then try it. Try different things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That gets them on their back end more. Now she's like, what are we doing? Canter. Holding her. Don't run them into it. That's a big mistake a lot of people make. So I'm going, you see me heading towards the poles? Because that makes her more trotty. Canter. Canter. So she's not getting it, so I'm going back through the poles again. Now, if she breaks into a trot over the poles, I don't care. It's going to help her canter. That's what I'm working on. Canter. Almost. So she did trot over the poles, and then she didn't get the canter. She goes lateral at the canter. Good girl. Now she got 1 or 2 steps right there. So right as she goes, I was going for the pole. She's like, wait a second. Wait, I got it. 1 or 2 steps, I stopped. I'm quitting. That was good. Okay? So she's trying. She gets it, but she says, my body can't do that. Why can't her body do that? Because nobody's trained her to do it. If she did canter on the trail, they probably just kicked her into it. She probably used the other lead. So this right side, her hindquarter is not strong enough. So she's got to get stronger at it. So I got to help her to do that and then reward when she tries. And some of these horses will be like this for 2-3 weeks or a month. All of a sudden they can canter just fine. It's the weirdest thing with gaited horses. But do it right, you'll get there. Do it wrong, you'll be trying to get that canter forever. Now, some of these horses are so lateral, like my horse Tilly. I have a video I'll post of her. It's going to be totally different. Can't do all this stuff with her. She falls apart. She's got a different kind of back end. It's very slopey, and she reaches a fair amount underneath her. So the things I did with Teddy, the walking horse, and the things I do with this one don't work for her. Each horse is different, but she's older. She's very lateral. And so what I get. And that's all you can be happy with, because some of the ones with the smoothest gaits will not have the best canters because they're so lateral. And some of the horses with the best canters won't have the smoothest gaits. Now, if you got both, you're very lucky, but just know a lot of horses aren't like that. So you take what you can get, you work on it, try to make it better, but just know your horse may never gait or canter like your friend's horse because these horses are so different. All right, I hope that helps. Remember to like and subscribe, send it to your friends, get them to subscribe, and let's keep spreading the word how to gait them naturally.